So good morning, everyone. We have a few more people filling their coffee cups and they're coming in. My name is Dwayne Roth, and I'm CEO of Connect. And on behalf of Connect and K&L Gates, we are really happy to have you here today to talk about a subject that I think there's great interest in, not only from a national perspective, but locally. How many of you have traveled to Washington this year at least once on business? So large number of hands go up. It's interesting for me. I've been involved in technology for over 35 years, and I only used to go to Washington to meet with the Food and Drug Administration. That was something that was pretty rare. But I've been to Washington, I think, 10 times last year. Every plane I've been on has been oversold, both ways in and out. Used to go to New York, that was the case, now it's Washington. And I say that only because the role that government is playing in so many areas of what we're doing in business. And I think it's not the debate between less government or more government, it's more an understanding that policy and the rules by which we all operate are really critical, and that people, in fact, can make a difference if you're at the right place talking to the right people about how policy is generated. Previously, we took the sort of, well, that's the rule, and somebody explained the rule to you, and you'd say, well, how'd that happen? Well, it just did, so you have to comply with that. I think now we're learning, and a lot of what I've learned has been from the defense contractors here in San Diego, that you can actually influence a lot of the policy things. You can influence a lot of the grant criteria that go into things. So increasingly it's important. That's why we started this series, the Connect Policy Forums, and today is, as I said, a very interesting part of that. So I'm going to just talk about a few things. You're going to hear a lot about this from experts on the case, but if you think about policy in the space we're talking about, Cleantech, you've got tax structure, incentives, you've got regulation, and in fact, it's a major part of the push for the future economy. So many different policies being introduced by the administration, being introduced by the House and the Senate, all trying to sort of figure out how do we get the right formula to go there. I think we're fortunate that the Secretary of Energy is Stephen Chu, who's from Berkeley. Stephen, I've worked with over the years on a number of projects, but he's, you know, he had a learning curve, obviously, to go through like all of them do, but I think his background and his knowledge about what's doable and how to look at things is a unique perspective. He's not just a policy guy. He's actually a scientist and Nobel laureate. That does understand. I think that's an important part of it. I want to speak just briefly about San Diego and what is going on here. I think most of you know that there's really cutting-edge research all up and down the Mesa, and in particular in the area of biofuels. We have a number of companies. We have some research institutes that are really focused on that, and we are clearly seen as one of the leaders in this emerging space of biofuels. And I'll just make an aside comment on that. The driver behind that right now is the Pentagon. And the Pentagon is going to create markets for biofuels. And it's pretty clear that's going to happen, particularly the Navy. And if you listen to the people here talk about it, this is something they're quite proud of, and they're going to be driving that because they see it as a very important part of what they do. Obviously, we're involved in wind and solar because the wind blows and the sun shines. Very important aspects, but we need to find storage for those to make them economically viable and to make sure that you don't have to have 100% backup. So we have been named an iHub. That's an innovation hub in the state of California. There are 12 of them across the state. Our particular area is convergence, and two of the three that we focus on, one is biofuels, the other is biotechnology and how to use that in the creation of new energy fuel sources, and then this solar and storage, the convergence between those two. which are very different technologies, obviously, that we would bring together. We have over 700 companies operating in San Diego. People ask how'd that happen. Well, many of them were here, they just didn't have a brand. And so once they got rebranded and we started focus on it, and then there are, you know, I won't say hundreds and hundreds, but probably 100 or so really innovative companies working on new things that aren't yet commercialized that I think are very important. With that as sort of a precept to what we're going to talk about today, how to structure, how to finance, how to understand the government incentives and the rules of tax and all the things there. We have the experts from Washington. I think most of you know that a little over a year ago, Connect opened an office in Washington. Tim Tartabono, who works for Connect full-time, he just left yesterday. He was here, but he walks the halls of Congress, and I've tried to do that for the last 20 years or so. And I have to say, it's a completely different environment when you're walking with somebody everybody knows and talks to. And you find out that it's really not the members, it's the staff and the relationships with the staff on the Hill. And so Connect, in a very short period of time, has gained a lot of status back there because we're such a unique and different voice. Part of that help has come from K&L Gates, and they're our sponsor today. When I'm back there, I almost always go to the K&L office just because they have experts in so many areas of what we're interested in. And so that relationship has gone really well. Nick Liebman, who goes back and forth from this office in Washington all the time, was elected yesterday to the Connect board. So all that simply says we have a partner in K&L that we've used over and over again, and we're really pleased to have that. So what I'd like to do to kick off today's program is introduce a friend, somebody I've known for quite some time, Sue Hodges, who's the administrative lead partner here in the San Diego office. She focuses on corporate finance, and one term we never want to hear, bankruptcy and insolvency. And I always tell the bankruptcy lawyers, you know, we don't really want to know you that well, but when we need you, we need you. So with that, let me introduce Sue, and Sue's going to introduce the program. You're going to hear from some speakers, and at the end we're going to have question and answers, and you'll be asked to submit your questions to me in a little card or something, so be thinking as you listen. So welcome, Sue.